Candace episode, she talked about a woman that was at Charlie's memorial, and she had so many things happen that she thought were signs from God, but the whole time she was being targeted by Turning Point and Erika for her money. The woman basically said that she was just trying to get to Charlie's memorial because obviously some people just wanted to be there. And the second she got into contact with a Turning Point USA rep, whoever it was, they immediately went into talking about Erika receiving death threats and how Trump had to get personally involved to secure the stadium and that they need to cover the $6 million tab, I guess, for the memorial.
We just hit the street with this, and it's spreading fast like wildfire. Charlie Kirk's sister, Mary Kirk, reportedly stepped to Erika in a physical way at a private ceremony right after Charlie's funeral, according to sources close to it all. This wasn't some quick argument or tense back and forth. It allegedly turned into a full-on confrontation. The situation blew up after Mary found out what Erika had supposedly been doing right after her brother passed, and it clearly didn't sit right at all. And it wasn't just talk about raising money off supporters' grief. Sources claim it went way deeper than that. There are allegations that Erika may have made up some of Charlie's most personal final messages to the public, which takes this story to another level. Let's get into the letter, because this is where things start to feel seriously unsettling. Not long after Charlie's passing, Erika shared what she said was a personal love note he wrote to her. She put it out publicly with a caption that read, "Charlie wrote me a love note every Saturday while he honored the Sabbath. He never missed one. I share this with you, not to prove a point, not to make anyone feel like they need to do the same for their spouse, but to encourage you to show that when your husband loves you as Christ loved the church, you have a deeper respect for him."
Came into our bedroom, into the bathroom, because that's where his wedding ring was and his necklace. And he came in and he grabbed that, and then he left. I didn't even get to give him a kiss goodbye.
So not only was this weird lady focused on merch sales after his memorial, but she was targeting potential donors inside of a church?
We know, according to the staff, she has been in the office every single day. The children who just lost their father, her 18-month-old son, and 3-something-year-old daughter, in essence, lose their mother.
We're involved in my husband's murder. None of us.
And that post? It instantly caught attention and had people talking heavy. A deeper love. It's hard to explain, but those of you who have an Ephesians 5 marriage, you understand my sentiment. I share this in hopes that today, husbands are encouraged to be even better. Husbands and wives are encouraged to be even better wives, and I'd give anything to have a Saturday breakfast with my husband asking how we can better serve one another for the week. That message hit people right in the chest. It sounded heartfelt, personal, and deeply emotional. The letter itself was packed with what looked like real, intimate love, praising Erika for who she is, talking about how exciting it was to walk through life together, and painting this picture of a husband fully devoted in every way possible. It read like something straight out of a perfect marriage story, the kind that pulls people in instantly. At first glance, it felt like a powerful tribute, something that would naturally spark a huge emotional reaction from people already grieving and trying to hold on to the good memories of Charlie. And that's exactly what happened. People connected to it fast, sharing it and talking about it everywhere. But then everything started to shift. Sources close to Mary Kirk came forward with claims that flipped the whole story upside down. According to them, the letter wasn't real at all. It was allegedly forged, not written by Charlie in any way. And the details they pointed to? They weren't vague. They got very specific and technical.
This is his home office, and I have not been in here for a very long time. And I've just been, that's part of the reason why I keep looking down. It's not because I'm not wanting to look at you. It's because like there are so many treasures in here. Like for instance, like this piece of paper, he wrote on everything. He has papers everywhere. This says, it's the priorities. It says family, children, legacy, kids number one, versus careerism, consumerism, and loneliness. That's interesting.
Charlie was known for having messy, natural handwriting, but the letter Erika shared doesn't line up with verified samples of his writing style. The differences stand out, and now people are looking at that letter in a completely different light. Instead, sources are saying it looks like someone carefully studied his handwriting and tried to copy it, but under real scrutiny, the flaws start showing up fast. Authentic, messy handwriting has a natural, organic feel to it, something you can't just fake. But when someone tries to force that messy look, it leaves behind patterns and tells that don't match the real thing. And according to those speaking out, those exact tells are showing up in the letter Erika shared as Charlie's final message of love. Now really think about how serious that claim is if it turns out to be true. This wouldn't just be a decision made in grief or confusion. It would mean someone sat down almost immediately after losing their husband and created something completely fabricated. That's what's being alleged, and it's why this situation has people reacting so strongly. The claim suggests the letter was designed to make people believe Charlie's final words were all about praising her, lifting her up, and showing total devotion, an image that would naturally pull sympathy and loyalty from an already heartbroken audience. And if that allegation actually holds up, people are calling it one of the most calculated and cold moves imaginable following a public tragedy. But that's not the only thing that reportedly pushed Mary Kirk to her breaking point. At the same time, more sources started speaking out about what was happening with donations.
When I'm looking at this does not look like an adult writing anything. To me, this is just insane to say that this is the same person writing this.
What they described wasn't random or small. It was organized, fast-moving, and happening in real time while supporters were still deep in grief, trying to process everything that just happened. According to a detailed report from someone who says they saw it all firsthand, things got intense almost immediately at Charlie's memorial. A wealthy woman attending the service was reportedly approached right away by Turning Point representatives, before she even made it to her seat. The pitch didn't wait. It started on the spot. Erika's alleged death threats were brought up, along with talk of a reported $6 million cost tied to the memorial, setting the tone fast. The ask for money wasn't separate. It was built right into that first conversation, happening before the woman even had a chance to sit down and pay her respects. And it didn't stop there, not even close. The very next day, that same woman was at a church service when she was personally pulled aside by someone identified as Erika's close friend, Stacy. She was then invited to sit with Erika in prayer, making the moment feel personal and serious all at once.
Erika is not the person that moved that picture. In fact, it would be much more likely that Stacey Sheridan would have added that picture to the background. They would have said, okay, we're in his office. What are we going to do? Oh, let's put up some stuff behind to remind people that this is her Charlie and how happy they were and how in love they were. So that really only leaves us with one other option. And that option would be that Charlie himself moved the frame. And he would have had to do this on the 9th, the day before his assassination. And what would have happened thereafter is Erika simply didn't realize.
But here's where it gets even more layered. According to the report, this whole sequence wasn't random. It was coordinated. The church's own priest had reportedly been given specific details about Erika's schedule and location, and then passed that information along to this woman ahead of time. Everything lined up too perfectly, and sources are saying the interaction was carefully set up to look natural when it really wasn't. Now think about what that suggests for a second. This is someone whose husband had just been killed in a very public and shocking way, in front of witnesses on a university campus. In a situation like that, most people would expect total privacy, tight security, and very controlled movements, especially if there were already claims about threats and danger. But what's being described here doesn't match that expectation at all, and that contrast is exactly why people are raising eyebrows. Instead, according to this account, Erika's schedule and location were allegedly being shared with potential donors through coordination with clergy, and people are saying it looked highly organized. It wasn't random or casual. It felt like part of a system, a full pipeline built to bring in donations with serious efficiency. That's what's being claimed, and it's raising a lot of questions. The report goes further, saying Turning Point representatives later showed up at the woman's home in Chicago. This wasn't a quick follow-up. It was a personal visit, face-to-face, meant to keep that financial connection going after it started at the memorial. And even after that, it didn't slow down. Erika was reportedly brought back into the conversation again and again through text messages, keeping her presence front and center the entire time. At a certain point, the woman says she started to notice a pattern, and it became clear when she attended one of their events herself. She claims the messaging would shift depending on who was in the room. If the crowd responded more to faith, the focus leaned heavily on Christianity and belief. If the audience seemed more financially driven, the tone switched straight to fundraising. That flexibility? People are saying it wasn't accidental. It looked carefully designed to connect with emotions and encourage giving from supporters who were already hurting over Charlie's loss. And now here's the part that's getting the most attention online because it ties directly into what may have been happening between Charlie and Erika before his death.
He was so excited. I mean, he just was like, I can't wait. It's going to be the best. And he got up around 2:45, 3-ish to go into the kitchen to grab a snack. So I said, I want you to have a good night's sleep. Go ahead and sleep in her room. And I'll turn the air down so it's nice and cozy in there. And I just want you to get a good night's sleep so you can be amazing tomorrow.
During an appearance on Glenn Beck's live podcast, Erika was sitting at Charlie's desk when she pointed out something on the table, a handwritten priority list said to be in Charlie's own writing, and viewers immediately locked in on that detail. Viewers watching that footage got to see Erika's reaction in real time. No filter, no script, just raw emotion as she read what was in front of her. And what that list showed was not something people in her circle would have wanted out in the open. Not at all. It caught attention fast because of how unexpected it felt. Charlie's handwritten priority list laid things out clearly, in his own words. At the top, family, children, and legacy. Then, underneath, he wrote what he wanted to move away from: careerism, consumerism, and loneliness. Simple words, but they carry weight, and people immediately started reading into what that really meant. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable for some. In the traditional values image Charlie built his entire public identity around, the spouse is supposed to be central, the partner you're building everything with, the one right there at the core of family and marriage. But Erika's name? It wasn't on that list anywhere. Not once, not even a mention. And that absence stood out to a lot of people. And that last word, loneliness, that's the one that's really driving conversation right now. Because if Charlie, someone who publicly celebrated his marriage and often pointed to his family as a key part of his message, privately wrote down loneliness as something he was dealing with or trying to escape, that raises serious questions. It paints a picture that doesn't fully match what's been presented since his passing. A man who feels fully connected, supported, and grounded in his marriage usually isn't writing loneliness on a private list of struggles to fix. And that contrast between the public image and what this note suggests is exactly why people can't stop talking about it. And then there's the wedding photo, or more accurately, the fact that it wasn't there at all. That detail didn't go unnoticed, and Candace Owens was one of the first to call it out directly. Once people heard that, they started looking a lot closer.
You're sick. He's a human being. Museum style for our Charlie, for my Charlie.
Everyone wants an answer to this evil. And sometimes the answer is very clear.
During her appearance on Glenn Beck's podcast, Erika kept saying it was her first time back in Charlie's office since his passing. She repeated it more than once, almost like she wanted to highlight how emotional that moment was. But while she was focused on that, viewers watching closely picked up on something else entirely. The wedding photo that had always been visible in the background of Charlie's office? It was gone. Completely missing from the exact spot where it used to be, and people who had seen that office before noticed right away. That absence hit hard, and it instantly sparked questions. Because think about it. If Erika removed the photo herself, that's a surprising move for someone publicly presenting herself as a devoted widow holding on to every memory. If someone on staff took it down, then who made that call, and for what reason? That alone opens up a whole different line of questions. But the theory that's really got people talking is the third one. Some believe Charlie may have taken the photo down himself before he passed. And if that's true, it changes how people interpret everything. It suggests that when Erika walked back into that office for the first time, she may have been seeing that empty space without fully understanding why it was gone, or how to explain it when everyone else noticed too. That detail, when you line it up with everything else, the priority list with loneliness written on it, the report about separate sleeping arrangements on the final night, the missing wedding ring, and even the absence of a goodbye kiss that morning, it starts to form a bigger picture, and people are saying that picture points to a marriage under serious strain in the days leading up to Charlie's death. Now, when you walk through that final timeline step by step, it hits even harder. Each detail on its own might not seem like much, but together, that's where it gets intense.
He would come in, open the junk drawer. Everyone has a junk drawer. Open the junk drawer, said Shabbat Shalom, put it in there, turn the phone off, slam the door. And on Friday night when he would get home from work, he would turn off his phone,
and he would shove it in the junk drawer, and he would say, Shabbat Shalom.
The night before Charlie was shot at Utah Valley University, Erika publicly said he was in a very positive, energized mood, almost excited about the speaking event he had coming up. That part of the story sounds clear enough. She explained that she wanted him to get great rest before such an important day, and that's why he slept in the children's room instead of their shared bedroom. According to her, it was all about making sure he was well rested and ready. But not everyone is buying that explanation. Critics have been picking that apart from different angles, and one point keeps coming up again and again. Charlie wasn't a small person, and the idea that he chose to sleep comfortably in a child's bed the night before a major event raises eyebrows for a lot of people. For some, that explanation just doesn't fully add up, and it's adding even more fuel to an already intense situation. Most adults who want real quality sleep choose their own bed. It's that simple. So when people hear that he slept in a child's room instead, it raises questions right away. The only situation where that choice really makes sense is if something made staying in the main bedroom uncomfortable or not an option that night, and that's exactly where the speculation starts to grow. Then you look at the morning details, the ones Erika shared herself, and they add another layer to this story. She said the only time she saw Charlie before he left was a quick moment when he came into the bedroom to grab his wedding ring and his necklace. That was it. No real conversation, no sitting down together, no emotional moment, and no goodbye kiss either. For a couple whose public image was built around a strong, faith-centered marriage, that version of their final morning stands out in a big way. It doesn't match what people would expect from a deeply connected partnership. Instead, to many watching, it feels distant, like something had shifted between them the night before in a serious way. That's where the speculation really locks in. Some believe that the night before his death may have involved a direct and difficult conversation, something important enough to explain why he wasn't wearing his ring that evening, something heavy enough that he chose not to sleep beside her and left the next morning without that final moment of connection. And according to sources close to Charlie's sister Mary, there are claims that he had been opening up to her about serious concerns involving Erika in the time leading up to all of this. Concerns that were building over time and reportedly starting to turn into action. And if that's true, it adds even more weight to everything people are now piecing together. Which brings everything back to that funeral confrontation. Because once you understand what Mary reportedly knew, the situation starts to make a lot more sense. According to sources, she didn't walk into that private ceremony unaware. She allegedly carried the weight of what her brother had shared with her, his private concerns, his doubts, and the conversations they had in the days and weeks leading up to his death. That context changes everything. And then, according to those same accounts, she arrived and saw Erika in a setting that didn't match what she expected at all. Instead of a quiet, protected space, there were reportedly cameras present, capturing deeply personal family moments during what was supposed to be a private gathering. That alone was enough to raise tension instantly. Sources claim those moments weren't just being recorded casually, they were being shaped into a public narrative, and the version being presented, according to these reports, didn't reflect the private reality Mary believed she had witnessed behind the scenes. What should have been a sacred goodbye for close family was, allegedly, being documented and prepared for public viewing, and that crossed a line for her. The filming of such emotional moments, and the idea that a private farewell was being turned into something performative, reportedly pushed Mary past her breaking point. According to accounts of what followed, that's when things escalated into a physical confrontation. It wasn't just about one moment, it was everything building up at once. And since then, the response from the broader Kirk family has added even more layers to the story. Mary Kirk's political stance has become a major talking point, with reports suggesting she's been aligning more with Democratic views rather than supporting the MAGA movement or backing Erika's direction with Turning Point USA. That shift has caught attention fast. Mary and Charlie were known to have different political beliefs. That's not new. But many expected that after his death, those differences might quiet down, at least for a while. Instead, what's happening now is going in the opposite direction, and it's keeping this entire situation in the spotlight. Instead, according to sources, Mary's stance has only grown stronger, and people are noticing it more and more. It's being described as a clear, deliberate signal about where she stands, not just personally, but in direct contrast to Erika and everything now being carried out in Charlie's name. That kind of positioning, coming from inside his own family, carries serious weight, and people are paying attention fast. Because here's the reality people keep pointing to, the ones who truly knew Charlie, who grew up with him, who were there in private moments without cameras, aren't all backing the version of his legacy that's currently being presented. And that gap? It's raising big questions. Mary Kirk staying quiet for so long didn't go unnoticed either. In fact, her silence became part of the story. But now, according to sources, that silence is breaking. And it's happening in a way that Erika reportedly wasn't ready for and can't easily control. That shift alone has added a whole new level of tension to everything unfolding. Online reaction has been fast, loud, and very direct. One commenter said, "Literally, in every violent crime, the spouses are suspected and questioned intensely by police and federal investigators." Another wrote, "Mary Kirk should take over and shut it all down. Erika is a bad person. His sister has different views than Charlie politically, but I'd rather have her than Erika." And a third comment summed up the growing buzz. "Who's Mary? She's coming out of the shadows and Erika is on the run." That last line really captures where things stand right now, because this story isn't slowing down. It's picking up momentum, and more people are starting to watch closely as everything continues to unfold. For months, the public image of Charlie Kirk's legacy has been almost completely shaped by Erika. Her interviews, her appearances, the emotional way she presents things, her leadership of Turning Point, and how his memory has been used in both political and financial conversations. Meanwhile, the Kirk family has mostly stayed out of the spotlight, quiet and in the background, while she remained front and center on every platform. But now, that balance might be shifting in a big way. If Mary Kirk Bampt is stepping out from that silence, carrying what her brother allegedly confided in her, and standing alongside claims about questionable letters and highly coordinated donation efforts, even inside churches, then this situation could be turning fast. And if reports are true that she was willing to confront Erika directly at the funeral, then the control over this narrative may not be as solid as it once looked. Because underneath all the claims, all the tension, and all the back and forth, there's one core truth people keep coming back to. The family knew Charlie personally. They knew who he was behind closed doors, what he was thinking, what he was dealing with, and what may have been unfolding in the time leading up to his death. And if that same family, starting with Mary, is signaling that the public version of his life and marriage doesn't fully line up with reality, that's something people can't ignore. Right now, the public is already looking at a long list of serious claims. The alleged forged letter, the reported donation pipeline, the priority list mentioning loneliness, the missing wedding photo, the separate sleeping arrangement, the lack of a goodbye, and the confrontation at the funeral. When you put all of that together, it creates a narrative that more and more people are starting to question. According to a growing number of sources, this doesn't look like a simple story of a widow honoring her husband. It's being framed as something far more complicated. And now, it seems like the people who were closest to Charlie may not be willing to stay quiet any longer. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think is really going on here? And don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video, and stay locked in, because this story might be heading toward its biggest twist yet.